All right, hello everybody. Sorry about the extra wait at the beginning of the stream, but we're here now. Alrighty, I have no idea what I'm going to be doing today. There's one thing that I want to open up the stream with, but I did start writing lore for the game, and I posted a video of like the little lore dialogue box. Obviously the lore in that dialogue box was not real, but you could check it out on Discord. So that kind of like dialogue box will show up when you first start the game, but it will have the actual lore entry in there, obviously. And then the plan is to make all the lore unlockable with the unlock tree items. So we'll see how that goes, but I don't really know if I'm going to be doing much of that here, mostly because I think it would be nice just to keep the lore a surprise for the release, I think. But anyway, so we'll figure out what to do here. 1 second here. Okay, my windows were not set up correctly. Goodness gracious. All right, we'll just skip the ads for today, but you can wishlist Alchemortis. It's below. It's in the description. I would appreciate that. And you can also join on Patreon if you want to support the development. All that kind of good stuff. Anyway, hello Ninja Link, welcome back. Mohall, good to see you. Hello V, hello Emerson, welcome. It was fake news. Looks like there's trouble in Purple Land. Trouble in Purple Land. Oh. I forgot to start the Twitch. Man, I'm all scatterbrained this morning, I guess, but okay, the Twitch stream is up now. The Twitch stream is up now. Purple is one of our main colors. Hello, Gear Games Inc. Welcome back. So there's one thing I want to do for now, which is that I want to add a new game debug flag to disable intro tutorial, or disable intro lore, so I don't have to see that every time. Game debug. Where should I put it? Debug. Content. Oh, maybe I'll put it under UI. Okay. We'll do suppress intro lore. Just add this to the project. Suppress intro lore true. Let's see, suppress intro lore, we'll turn that on. Public static bool is suppress intro lore enabled. Is debug build and project settings get setting. Suppress. Oh, did I not rename it? What the heck? Oh, I spelled it wrong, that's why. Suppress intro lore. Okay, so then I go to my run manager and basically, where's my lore dialog here? So if not is tutorial run and not game debug is suppress intro lore enabled. And I may make this a separate method. Let's see, try show intro lore. We'll put this down here somewhere. Oh gosh. Okay, there we go. So we'll just move that out of there. It's a little bit nicer. So anyway, this is responsible for basically showing the player like the introductory lore. I've got a whole lore dialogue and everything for it. But I only want to show it on the first run. Obviously, it would be annoying if it got shown every single time. So I have a flag for that now, is intro lore shown. That will save to the save file. And then I still need to figure out how I want to make the lore rereadable by the player. So I'm going to have to think about that, but we'll see. The fact that that was understood is funny. Gare-like hair. All right, good. Hello, Wuius, welcome. So let me just go into a game here and make sure that I'm not going to see the lore entry. Because, again, that would be annoying if I have to look at it every time I start the game. All right, I think we're golden, pony boy. Okay, add debug option to suppress initial lore entry. All right, so what else are we gonna do today? There was something that I was gonna do. Oh, we can nerf the Void Stone. That sounds good. Let's nerf the Void Stone. So I think what I want to do for Void Stone here, this is a little bit too powerful. Items gain 0 critical chance and 1 critical bonus if there are at least 2 adjacent empty spaces. Do I want to do like tiles or cells or something? What did I do for Longbowmen? What did I say here? Per adjacent empty grid cell. Maybe I'll just shorten that instead of grid cell. We'll just say empty cell. That works. There are at least 2 adjacent empty cells. Okay. So let's go to Void Stone here. Let's say private const int required empty cells is equal to 3. Let's put this here. All right, so now we gotta do this here. Self-critical chance. Oh, do I have to wrap these in conditionals? I may have to wrap this in a conditional. Do I though? Do I need to do that? Or can I wrap them? Chance value scalar. So I need to make this conditional. This value scalar. No, I should be able to dynamic magnitude ability. I can probably do this var generic value provider. Generic value provider. Int. Okay, so generic value provider, if query target provider dot get value is less than required empty cells, we're just going to return 0. Oh, I need to. Oh, am I going to need to? Yeah, this probably needs to be generic crit bonus provider. Okay, and then I need to do one for generic crit chance provider as well. Return critical chance. That is an integer as well. Okay, So we don't need these things then. This would be generic crit bonus provider. This is generic crit chance provider. Okay, hopefully that works. So then we can buff these things. So critical chance. I mean, do I just buff it? Do I just make it 3 by default? Yeah, maybe we just 15. Maybe go up to 10. I don't know if that's going to work, but we will see. Okay, build. Good morning, Joshua. Welcome. Hello, Just Craft Twitchy. You don't have a follower alert? I wanted to come in saying I was in here so long. Being sarcastic. How you doing? I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. Look, I'm a boomer. I don't know how to make Twitch do anything, so I don't know what follower alerts are. I don't know what gems are. I don't know what all the emotes are. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The chat is not delayed. I have to manually put the chat on screen. So I'm getting your chats. They're not delayed though. I'm getting your chats instantly. And my stream is even set to low latency so that when I am interacting with you, you don't have to wait too long for a response, but yeah, it's not. Please don't ask for me to read the chat. The primary focus of this stream is to get work done, which means that I'm going to ignore the chat for 5, 10, 15-minute chunks, but I will visit the chat. But this is not... Purpose of the stream is I'm actually building a game, and the interaction with the audience is just like an extra little bonus, you know? See, look, yeah, it's not delayed. I can do this, see? Like, it's me completely manually activating it, so. But yeah, welcome everybody. Glad to have you here. All right, so we want to test the Void Stone. So basically the Void Stone before was just giving a 5% critical chance and 3 critical bonus per empty cell, but that was really easy to stack. So what I'm doing now is I'm requiring, it's going to give a flat bonus, but only if there's at least 3 empty cells. So you should be able to still get a good amount of power out of it, but it becomes more of like a min-max kind of thing, right? Like you may have one particular item that you want to buff the crit chance and crit multiplier of crit bonus for. So hopefully that's a little bit nicer. Items gain 50% critical chance and 10 critical bonus if there are at least 3 adjacent empty cells. So this one got the bonus, this one did not. But if I move this guy over here, now they're both getting the bonus. So they're at 35% and plus 16. But if I move this guy over, since there's not enough adjacent empty spaces, this guy just has whatever bonus comes from the skull wand there. Okay. I think that should be fine. Okay, I'm just gonna ban you, Just Craft Twitchy. If you come into the stream and you beg for attention, like, I'm just not gonna deal with that. That just depends on how you use the stream. Lots of us either interact with others or just co-work. I normally interact, but I'm co-working on my own game for once. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, like, look, I want to interact with the chat, but I also want to get my game done. And yeah. That is the primary goal. The primary objective is to get my game done. Whenever I have chatters that are demoralizing, I just ban them too. Well, it's not, you know, it's not demoral. It's just like, you're not the main character, you know? Like, there are people who are watching this stream precisely because they like to see the process of making a game, right? There are people that watch this stream, like Ninja Link said, for co-working purposes. And yeah, I like to interact with the chat when I have like a free moment or when I'm in between like trains of thought, right? But you know, you can't just come in here and like demand that 100% of the stream is me interacting with you. It's like that's not what the stream is. And if that's not the kind of stream that you want, then yeah, you're free to leave, but don't leave a comment saying, "Well, I'm bored." It's like it's not about you. Like you don't get to come in here and dictate like how the stream is going to go when I already have an audience of people who like the way the stream is presented, right? That's the annoying part. Anyway, so we nerf Voidstone. Sorry to the Voidstone lovers out there. This should still be very powerful though, especially with that board effect that duplicates like the artifacts, which I may have to nerf that one as well, but this should hopefully prevent this thing from becoming like runaway powerful. All right, so that's done. What else do we got? I need to work on the combat log. I still need to add effects for blind as well. I came here specifically to be bored. How dare they complain about it? Well, you're in the right place, V. Anyway, let's see. Bugs. Backlog. I actually don't think I'm going to do this one. Delete. So we've got a big-ish backlog. The big thing that I want to work on is lore, but the problem is I don't want to reveal the lore on stream. Like I want to leave at least some parts of the game for you guys to discover. I could maybe work on the plumbing for that though, because I still don't know, like I don't know where to put the lore entries once you've unlocked them. Like I was thinking, like maybe they could be in the unlock tree container, maybe. So like here we've got the button to open up the challenge list. So I'm wondering, like, should I put like the lore list here as well? Since most of the lore is going to be tied to unlocking things. The only exception to that is the intro lore. Like that's the only one I think that's not going to be tied to an unlock. So I'm thinking, is it worthwhile to just put like another tab here for the lore? And then have like a drawer that slides out where you can read the lore entries. The only hesitation I have about that is that it becomes non-obvious where you go to find the lore. Although I guess maybe players will figure that out the first time they unlock something. So if I go to unlocks. So we got unlock tree, the challenge list is here, but if I have another tab that's like lore. Maybe that would work. I appreciate you always understanding my sarcasm. Before the year comes to an end, I will have made my first game, and it'll be because of Firebelly. Awesome. Glad to hear that. Finishing a game feels good. Feels good. Let's see. I don't know. Does anyone have any thoughts on that if I just put like another lore tab here? The other option, and this is a little bit more of a high effort, but the other option is to start that encyclopedia menu that I was thinking about doing. And have like the encyclopedia just serve as the lore entry container for now. But then the problem is like, if your lore is being unlocked here, And you can't access the lore from this screen. That would be kind of weird. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Well, maybe I will just go with a tab approach here. Do I want to go with a tab approach? See, I could make it so that way maybe the lore is accessible from clicking on these things, but maybe, no, that's not going to work either. I think the big problem is that I have this one lore entry which is not connected to an unlock, so making the lore purely tied to unlocks is not a great idea, I don't think. So yeah, I'm gonna need to think about that. One second. This is gonna be a side quest, but there's something bothering me. There's a big chunk of unhighlighted branch that just looks too flat to me. I think maybe there and there, perhaps? Yeah. So where is this at? Connection selected. Assets UI unlock connection selected. Oh, but now, what is the source file for that? Oh, here. Connection selected, there we go. So, but this needs to be a weird, it needs to be 63 by 18. 63 by 18. That is 64 by 24. Oh, goodness. Okay, well, here's what I could do. View grid settings. 63 by 18. And then we'll just cheat a little bit. We'll just put this right in here. Is that right? No, it needs to go down like this. Okay. All right, so connection selected, this layer here. What I want to do is I just want to tighten this up a little bit. Yeah, there was just some areas where it just looked a little bit too flat to me. So hopefully this helps a little bit. Okay, I think that looks a little bit nicer. This over here is still weird, so maybe I'll just do that. Yeah, that looks much nicer. So there was just a couple parts, like even here, this looks a little bit too flat as well. Yeah, I think that looks nicer. I may actually redo this highlighting here. Do something like this. And then we can move that there. I think that looks better. Yeah. Okay, I think that just looks a little bit nicer, a little bit more detailed. And I could even add like extra black spaces there to really create some separation. Yeah, I think that looks nice. Okay, so now we will do this. This is called what? Connection selected. Did that get replaced? Yes. I'm not seeing my change though. I mean, it did get updated. Connection selected. Is it just not updating the preview? Let me do unlock tree line. Yeah, it hasn't been updated. What? Connection selected. Did I do something wrong? Connection selected. All layers, visible layers selection, export. I don't know why that's not updating, but did it update here? No, it didn't. What the heck is even going on? Maybe if I do a re-import. What? That is not the updated texture. What in the heck is going on here? Oh, this is a new, oh. Oh. Wait, why did that happen? Assets UI unlock connection selected. Did I spell it wrong? Hold on a second. I did spell it wrong. I spelled it with one N. Oops. Problem exists between keyboard and whatever that's called. Okay. Why is it dialogue and not taking the whole screen? Well, the constant problem that happens with this game is that something that takes the whole screen tends to make everything like dark. And so you end up with like this void black with like something, just like something in the middle or whatever. And so I'm kind of just like avoiding that by, instead of making something take up the whole screen, it's just like an overlay that kind of dims the background. So there's still some visual stuff happening, but it's not too complicated. So otherwise, because it looks very empty if I make something that takes the whole screen, but then the majority of it is black. And the alternative is to do something intricate like this, like to give it like a very nice UI, which takes a lot of time. So it's just kind of like a balance between getting the displays that I need, but then also not having to do a bunch of extra work to make it look nice. Put lore in the flavor text. Yeah, well, there is lore in the flavor text. Not much of a lore reader, so I'm fine either way. Could try it, use non-lore stuff, and it changes after stream. Oh, yeah, I got you. Yeah, I mean, the lore is just like an add-on. It's because I've gotten numerous comments from people that they're like, well, I don't know why I'm playing this game. Like, why do what is my purpose here? And it's like, I mean, it's just a roguelike, you know? The purpose is to have fun with your builds, but there have been several people that have said like, hey, this game would be more interesting if like I knew what was going on with the story or whatever. So I'm trying to find like a good way of presenting a story for the people who want it without making it like this huge complicated thing that like drives the game systems, you know what I mean? So the lore is going to be there for people that want it, that want a little bit more information or insight into the world, but I'm sure most people are just going to skip it, which is totally fine, because I'm the same way. Like, I don't care about the lore when I play a game. Okay. Anyway, now that we did that side quest, yeah, that vine looks a lot better now. It's not as flat in a lot of places. Yeah. Okay, good. Good, good, good. Update. Unlock selected vine. Hello, weather. Oh gosh. Weather. I'll just call you Weather. It's been long since I've been in here. Welcome back. Good to see you. Here's what I learned. UI is 90% of your game. That's true. Welcome back, Kinyaz. How's it going today? It's going well. Liched Lev, welcome. Good to see you. Appreciate games like Surrounded that have default UI styles and instead choose to go deep in mechanics. But yes, definitely will not get away with default Godot UI. Right, that's true. Impressive Vine update, thank you. All right, let's just start with like a little list, I suppose. So this is actually going to be a little bit challenging because now I'm going to want a separate. Maybe not. I mean, it might be okay. So we've got the challenge list here. What the heck is even going on here? I think this is my hacky way of getting the layout that I need. Right, so basically... What is even the point of this? Get rid of that. Where did my button go? Oops, wrong thing. I'm just going to use an offset transform for this. Oh, wait, maybe I can't. Got a little bit too gung-ho there. How big is this? $29 by $29. I don't have enough room. Here we go. Okay, custom minimum size 29 by 29. We put this under here. Drawer toggle button. Oh man. Shrink end, shrink begin. Offset transform on, visual only off. We want to do mouse ignore. I think that's down here, right? Gosh, I can't find anything. Mouse ignore. Okay. Position. We just scoot this guy on over here. I've been enjoying just using these offsets for positioning. Do I want it to be over more? Oh, interesting. It's gonna get cut off a little bit. Anyway, Let's just see if that works. There be lore lover for some, can't blame them much. Yeah. Whether or not. Oh, gotcha. I gotcha. The non-unreadable handle was taken. Okay. I understand now. Okay, so there we go. So that's essentially the same thing. Just gonna move this up a little bit. Okay, so that's the only reason why I was changing that is I'm just trying to clean this up, because what I'm gonna do is I'm essentially just going to duplicate this. I'm essentially just gonna duplicate this challenge list here and then make a lore list. Which I think is all right. Kind of bothers me that that's not aligned. Maybe I can shift it over just one more. If I can find it. Okay, we'll just work with that. Yeah, that's fine. Do you check how your game looks on different screens, or you just not care about that forced litter box? Yeah, I'm just forcing the litter box. The problem is, like, I would have to preserve the height for sure, because the, you know, like the drawers and stuff are drawn to a specific height. But I think it would be theoretically possible to support any width. The only problem is, like, it just gets weird, right? Because, like, if you're on an ultra wide, for example, like, the enemy board and the player board are going to be, like, super far away from each other. I mean, I'm sure there's things I could do to mitigate that. One big problem, too... Where is it? Game UI? One big problem, too, is, like, this background art... This is drawn with a very specific, this art here, that has a very specific width as well. So yeah, I mean, I think it would be possible to support variable widths and just keep like the height ratio the same. But yeah, for now it's just letterbox. It's 16:9, and if you don't have a 16:9 screen, then you'll just get letterboxing. Non-unreadable. Welcome back. Tom will always be. Okay. You have constant width height. Maybe in the next game you can make better screens. Yeah, I honestly don't even know, like, if you wanted to do like super detailed drawers, like hand-drawn drawers, like how would you even make that? Like, if I wanted to do something like this level of detail for the drawer, I don't even know how I would make that support variable heights. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I could maybe, like, find a section, like, cut a section out here and just make it tileable. So, like, the top half or the top, you know, whatever, 65% is preserved. And then the bottom, you know, whatever, 20% is preserved. And then, like, there's a slight chunk in the middle which like just tiles nicely. So it could be like a 9 patch almost, with just like a very specifically designed section for the break where it can tile. But other than that, I really don't know how I would handle that. And especially for like a drawer like this, like I guess it would be the same thing, right? Like I would probably have to cut out like here and here and just make sure that this border was tileable. I guess that would be possible. It would be harder to do with this drawer for sure. This one, I think it would be relatively easy to make this vine section tile. So yeah, something to think about, I guess. Just make better screens, man. I've got a question. Why is it like dialogue where you have to open the skill tree lore and not taking the whole screen? Did you already? I think I already answered this, but the reason is because it's like a lot of the screen is going to be empty then. Basically is the reason. Chop it up and resize dynamically. I think variable height wouldn't make sense. Yeah, I mean, I am using 9 slices quite heavily in the game. Like, the board here, these are all 9 slice, these borders here. So I know how to use the 9 slices, just like, how do I preserve the level of detail? Like, it would have to be specifically designed with 9 slicing in mind. It's just a little bit trickier, right? Never noticed the motion behind the cauldron is being clipped by the edge now that the game's become unplayable for me, sorry. No, it's because it's part of the drawer. See? I suppose there's some reason why some games have different resolutions of images based on their screen res. Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm aware, that's very common in like mobile. It's very common to ship like multiple different resolutions of images, and then like based on the screen DPI, you swap out the images that you need. I don't know how common that is for games though. In any case, it's not a factor for pixel games because it's just like, it's pixel art, right? The information cards overlap the icons of the tree. Yeah, that's intended. Like, this gains focus. And then you click to close the drawer. Again, like, if I make this the full size, like, there's just going to be so much empty space, right? So it's better to keep all the interesting visual elements on screen and, like, dim the things out. Okay, anyway. Let's duplicate the challenge list. Shaky mushroom, yes indeed. Duplicate. All right. Let me just see if this works. So this drawer offset is going to need to go down more. And if I go to my unlock container, oh, this is probably not going to work. Yeah, that tab is going to stay on top. Can make this all part of the same panel, perhaps. Maybe that's the way to do it. Create it as all part of the same panel, and then just change the content. Because I'm going to want all the same panel behavior. And I probably want these buttons to work as well. So if I open up the challenges, maybe this lower button would follow the edge here. And then if I click the lower button while the challenges are open, it would just swap the view to the lower. So you don't have to like open, then close, then open, then close, right? That may be the way to do it. Okay, that's going to require some more reworking. Okay, well, let's get rid of, I mean, we could copy this one, put this here. Actually, no, yeah, that's good. Okay, so this would be the, so we'll just merge those two things together. We'll go to the unlock menu here, or unlock tree container, get rid of the lore list here. Okay, so the challenge is actually going to be, I think actually we could just do, yeah, so I basically just cleanly swap out this thing. So this actually needs to be renamed to something like list container or something. All right, let's actually save this. We'll save this as a different thing. Or maybe we'll call it like, we'll call it drawer list. Okay. So we're gonna need to go through and just like scrub all of these things. But here we're gonna want to save this branch as a scene. Okay. Oops. Challenge content. Let's just add a script to that. So now we got to do some surgery. We got to transplant some stuff from the challenge list over. So let's copy this over. I'm just going to start deleting stuff that I know I don't need. Challenge progress item placeholder. All that stuff goes away. Okay. Screen dimmer, scroll handler component, content container. I don't know what that one's going to be useful for, but that's okay. And actually, well, it's fine. So basically, we get rid of all this stuff and we put this in here. Okay. Setup list. We probably don't want, yeah, this all goes away. So setup list goes into here. Using that, using that, using that, using that. Okay. Setup list and ready. Content container offset transfer. Okay, so I do want the content container, right? Yeah. Okay, so I do want the content container. So this goes away. Expand, collapse. Right, so now all I want to do, so this is basically, okay. This is basically the trimmed down drawer stuff, but this is going away. So I'm going to copy that and we're going to replace that here. This becomes drawer list. Okay. So that challenge list, I think it's probably safe to delete the challenge list. So let me just close all this. Challenge list. We're going to delete this. Get rid of that. Instantiate the drawer list instead. Okay. So there's our drawer list. Good. We can delete the challenge list now. Remove that. Delete this. Remove that. Okay. Are we good? Did it lose incomplete label? Did I lose the incomplete label? Oh, maybe I had a bug there. I don't think it was ever hiding the incomplete. Oh. To do this needs to hide. So that is actually a bug that was old, so I'll need to fix that. But otherwise, it looks like everything is good. This doesn't need to be, these don't need to be unique names. Okay. Well, I wonder how badly I broke everything. Let's just see what happens. So what I should see is that it basically is the exact same thing. There we go. Do we have errors? Missing class qualified name for reloading script. I don't think that's relevant. Okay, so the challenge list still works. So now it's just a matter of detecting the different drawer buttons pressed and then just swapping out the content that is available in here. Still the challenge of like, how do I actually want to display the lore? Because the lore here, I'm probably going to have like a bunch of buttons or something, and then I need to have like another lore panel come out. So that may be a little bit tricky, but we will figure it out. One thing at a time. One thing at a time. Let me just do lore list, create a new branch for that. Okay. All right, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when I come back, we will just continue on with this. So, BRB. All right, your favorite niche eCeleb is back. Hello, Jabroni. Excuse me. Do you think streaming and or talking out your thought process helps you work better? Find when I whiteboard things with my friends or explain how something works to them, it makes me know more. Yeah, there's definitely an aspect of it like that for sure. There's like an interactive rubber duck element to it. But, you know, whether it's not always helpful. Like sometimes, admittedly, streaming is mostly just a distraction. But I like to do it. I like to hang out with you guys. I like to show you guys what I'm working on. And over the course of a 2-hour stream, you know, there's plenty of situations where I can get input from the chat and just kind of hang out with you guys. So, but yeah, there's definitely situations where thinking through things with the chat is very helpful. Or even just, like you said, explaining the thought process about how to solve something. Like simply verbalizing the problem that you're trying to address is oftentimes very helpful, whether you have an audience or not. So yeah, there's a lot of benefits to it, for sure. I recently got a problem with unhandled input in physics process, so I had to use call deferred. Since I'm new to Godot, I wonder if it's the right solution or a workaround for bad design code. Yeah, so the input system in Godot is very hard to work with, and historically I've not been that great at like managing input as well, or either. But with Alchemortis, what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to limit myself to basically just working with how the input system works, rather than trying to like hack around it, right? So yeah, the call deferred, that may fix your immediate problem, but what that's going to do is it's going to introduce problems. Like it reduces the amount of control that you have over the input order. Like it may fix the immediate problem until you introduce another element that needs to listen for input, and now all of a sudden that call deferred is completely out of order and like ruins everything, right? So what I've been trying to do with Alchemortis in particular is I'm trying to just use, like, I'm trying to stay completely in line with how Godot propagates the input, which means that, like, if I need something to take input priority, what I do is I put it as low in the tree as I possibly can so that it gets the input that's being propagated first. I mean, that's at least true for, like, the input. I think it's true for unhandled input as well. But, you know, you have, like, the input lifecycle, which I've shown a couple of times. If I, let's see. I should bookmark this input handling docs. Yeah. So in the using input event docs here, Godot shows you the input handling order, right? So you've got input fires first, then GUI input, then shortcut input, then unhandled key input, then unhandled input, and then physics picking, right? So I don't know the exact problem that you're having, but the approach that I'm taking in Alchemortis is like, I'm basically just trying to work within this life cycle. I'm not trying to hack around it. I'm not trying to like avoid it or sidestep it by doing like weird things or like deferring actions or like using the right mix of unhandled with, you know, like regular input and unhandled. I'm basically just like using input event and GUI event. And if those are ever in conflict, like let's say I need to listen for a GUI event, but there's another thing in the tree that's listening for input event, I try to come up with a nice way of like determining, for example, like, do I just need to prevent input processing on the element that's listening for this, right? So I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but basically I'm trying not to do hacky workarounds to get the inputs to where I need to be. I'm trying to stay well within the bounds of like this input dispatch order, I guess you could say, and make my code and make my scene tree in such a way that it meshes very nicely with this input handling, right? And that can be very difficult, right? Because like I may have a dialogue that I want to spawn from like, you know, in the middle of the tree somewhere, but that dialogue needs to listen, like it needs to have input priority. So it needs to handle input before anything else. And so that's hard to do because if you just put the dialogue like right in the middle of the tree there, well, something that's lower down in the tree may intercept input before the dialogue gets a chance to listen for it, right? And so I actually have a way in the game of like taking nodes and adding them to the very bottom of the tree. So that way I can handle those inputs as priority. But what I do is like I'm purely leveraging the scene tree structure for the input handling. And so the nodes that need to have priority input handling appear lower in the tree than the nodes that can handle input later, for example. And like I said, that can be a pain for sure. It's not the most fun thing in the world to get that working, but I find that if you try to stay, like I said, within the bounds of like, you want to work with the input system and not against it, is basically what I'm saying. And the more you can work with the input event system, the more you can just design your scenes in accordance with how the input propagates through the tree, the easier of a time you're going to have, because then everything remains predictable. You don't have to worry about a hacky workaround that you did in this one class messing up a certain input interaction in this very specific situation, for example, right? You work within the bounds of this, you work with it and not against it, and that can be annoying, but over the long term, it creates a much more predictable system. Anyway, I don't know if that helps, but physics run at 60 FPS, but the input handler is not FPS capped, so inputs can be out of sync with physics machine. Oh, gotcha. Well, I think the way that you would typically handle that is you would accumulate the input in some variables. You wouldn't actually try to move anything in your input, right? You basically just use the input method or the unhandled input to collect the inputs that you'd like to apply, and you store those in a variable. And then when you get to the physics process loop, that's where you take the input that you've stored and move the physics object based on the input. So a classic example of this might be like movement code, right? If you're listening for movement code in unhandled input, you wouldn't try to move the physics object in the unhandled input callback. You would instead store a vector that represents the direction that you want to move the object in, right? So if I have WASD movement and I press W and A, what I will do is I will store a vector that is -1 in the Y component and -1 in the X component. And then in the physics process, I'll use that movement vector, I'll normalize it, and then I'll apply the movement based on that, right? So you want to store the intent about what the player wants to do, but do the actual movement inside of the physics. Yeah, it's not exactly an event bus. It's literally just like storing the minimal data that you need to know like what the player wants to do, but then you apply that motion or that change in the physics loop itself. But yeah, that's how I would typically do it. All right. Anyway, what was I doing? I need to do a lore list. Do I need to give titles to these things? I should create like a dummy lore entry. Text. Hi there. This is a dummy lore entry. I'm just adding a bunch of text so that I don't spoil any lore for the viewers. The lore is super secret, just like the alchemists. Okay. So I need to create basically a lore content. So let's create a new scene. Transform size is 128. VBox container. Lore content. Okay, so lore content goes in there. So how do I actually want to present this? I might need to give these things names. Okay, so we've got the dummy lore entry. Let's build. So we can have a name now. So what I'm thinking about doing is I may create, think about this. I may do something like a VBox container. We add a label. This would be like Inquisition Dispatch number 1 or something like that. So for the lore, is the lore going to be hint-based? Well, so all the items in the game have a little piece of flavor text. So that's like the hint-based lore. But the goal with this, so the way I'm going to present this is that the lore is going to be told from the perspective largely of the Inquisition. And it's going to be like you're collecting correspondences between, you know, members of the Inquisition talking about what's going on. You may receive things like interrogation reports, etc., right? And so the story is going to be pieced together through a series of like these Inquisition documents, essentially. And the goal is to give you a full understanding of like what's going on by the time you collect all the lore entries. But I think I may, like, there will be like a chronological story, I think, but they're going to be presented out of order. And so for the player, if you want to piece together what's happening, you're going to have to read, you know, these reports, these dispatches, figure out like what events happened in what order. And also, like, I want to introduce a little bit of like unreliable narrator stuff to it. Like this is going to stretch my creative writing skills. I'm not a writer by any means, but I think it would be fun to have like a little bit of unreliable narration or like propagandistic elements, right? Straw men and stuff like that. But then have like situations in the lore where like there are honest appraisals of like what's going on. And so the player, hopefully, if I do a good job presenting this, which remains to be seen, will hopefully be reading these things and piecing together, okay, like what is this? Is this author being honest? Is this author being honest? Like what's actually going on? We'll see. We'll see how it works, but I'm just following the constraint idea, right? Like my constraint when I'm going to approach writing the lore is that it has to be written from the perspective of the Inquisition. But the challenge is to give the player a full and accurate story, or at least all the information that leads to the full and accurate story, but just from the perspective of the Inquisition. And we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. It may end up being not that great, but yep, we'll figure it out. So if I take this dummy text, oops, and I put this here, but then I say visible characters 50. Well, that's not right. How do I get this to clip? Oh, I gotta turn auto wrap mode off. Okay. What happens if I turn this on? No, that doesn't work. Trim nothing. Max lines visible. Can I not do an ellipsis? Oh, ellipsis always. Oh, interesting. So I'm thinking we show the name of it, we show a little preview of it, and then we have like a button that's like read full or something. Maybe you could add just a few secret notes, not from the Inquisition, that actually reveals the true story. Shows us not quite like the Inquisition notes say. Yeah, I want to do something like that. It will still be from the perspective of the Inquisition, but like there will be like honest reports, right? Like there could be... Yeah, I mean, I could do something like that. Like, right, like, so like you have an Inquisition report or whatever that's like, hey, we found this note in a, alchemist slayer or whatever. And then like, here's the contents of the note. And then they just like print it fully within. So it's still within like an Inquisition document, but then it's like citing. It's providing a citation for some like alchemist document. Definitely do something like that, right? But yeah, hopefully that presentation is interesting. The challenge too is like, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this. Like this, this system needs to be relatively easy to get spun up and like write lore entries for. Because it's not like the narrative is not like a core part of the game. And honestly, like if the story just isn't shaping up that well, or I'm not happy with it and we're getting close to release, I may just end up cutting the narrative elements from it entirely. But hopefully I don't need to do that, because I think it would be cool to have a little bit of story, but story is one of those things where like I will cut it if it's going to be a problem. Do I just add like a custom button here? Just like a UI lore content read. Okay. So anyway, this would be a lore summary item. We will save this in here, and we'll call this lore summary item placeholder. Lore summary item placeholder. we'll just call setup here. So we're going to do var lore entries is equal to lore registry dot all lore. I'm just going to overwrite this though. Okay. So I'll just remove this line when I'm ready to show everything, but we only want to load the dummy lore for testing purposes. So we'll just put that 4 times in there. So I do need to add a public void configure here. Name label. Okay, so we've got name label, description label. I don't know why this keeps opening the... Why does that keep opening the documentation? Description label and read button. Okay, so name label dot text is equal to lore definition resource dot name translation key. Description label dot text is equal to lore definition resource dot description translation key. And then on ready, we will do read button dot pressed on read pressed. And we'll just do, yeah, we'll just do signal read pressed event handler. Okay, so as lore summary item here, summary item.configure entry, summary item.connect to read pressed. Well, I think that's okay. Okay. In any case, so we've got the lore content here. So let's go back to the drawer list here. We're going to put instantiate child scene lore content here. Okay. Drawer toggle button dot press. So this needs to change. This needs to be challenge toggle button. It's the main man. Hello, Mr. Fire. Hello, Real Crudo. Welcome back. Congratulations on your Game Jam entry. Doing so well. It's got to be a good feeling. I always felt good when I got high scores on the Game Jams. Ooh, that's not good. This button needs to be shrink center. Yeah, we'll figure it out, but we'll just make that invisible for now. I've got so much feedback. People want me to update the game after the jam now. Yeah, that's awesome. That's how you know you've got a good game on your hands. People want more. Okay, so challenge toggle button. Challenge toggle button. Lore toggle button. Okay, so target view. So we're going to move this over here. Okay, I'm going to create an update view here. I guess it doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't need to be a switch statement, but that's okay. Case view dot challenge. Challenge content dot visible. Turn these to false up here. Okay, challenge break. And then we're going to say if current view is equal to view.none. We don't want to actually hide anything because we don't want the drawer content to disappear when we're collapsing it. So collapse. Well, actually what we can do is we could say well, this is probably all right. So Do we want to call... We want to call update view always, I think, actually. I don't know. I'm probably making some logical mistakes in here somewhere, but that's okay. Okay, so on challenge pressed. If is expanded and old view equals target view or target view view.none. Well, let's see what happens. My main focus is void write and partition. My ID should be here very soon. Going to miss Steam Next Fest, sadly. Oh, that's unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that. That is unfortunate. Did it work the first time? It's a miracle. So obviously some things to do here, but lower entry name dummy. Oh, I have to update the translation generator. How are the Sith Lords doing? They're doing well, thank you. They're doing well. Just being cats like they do. Inquisition Dispatch number 1. Okay, so we're obviously going to need some more padding between these things. So we could do, let's see. Maybe 16 is good. I don't know if I like the button being centered either. Maybe if I take this and shrink begin. That doesn't look right to me either. It may be time to do... Do I have a maximum size on the button? I don't. Is it time to change the button? Let's see. Can I just do that? Here I need to edit this one as well. Oh, I forgot to set these to tile. Ah, fudge. I gotta go through that whole thing again. Tile. Okay. So now hopefully what I can do is I can actually make these just fill. Yeah. The text is not centered though. Which is unfortunate. How do I get the text to center? Size is custom minimum size -1 in the Y. Can I just do this then and get rid of that? I hope this doesn't break anything. And the text, yeah, the horizontal and vertical alignment is center, so that's okay. Oh, that looks incorrect, actually. Maybe I didn't need any of that stuff. Maybe I could just say, do that. Hey, look at that. So now we have tileable buttons where I can center the text. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. If they were dogs, I would be worried. I'm glad they're just being cats. Okay. So we need to show a locked state for these things as well. Show new lore entries when okay. Yeah. Oh, fudge. There's so much work to do. Ugh. How's the game looking? It's looking good. I can't complain. Can't complain. How'd you do the Skelly Man movements in the tutorial? So the Skelly Man, he's animated just using like an animation player here. So the idle animation looks like this. So that's the idle animation. The lantern is actually a physics object. So I actually have a physics root here, which is just in a plain node, and this is all hidden. So I'm running just basically a physics simulation using a pin joint, a static body, and a rigid body. And then what I'm doing is I'm essentially, every frame, I'm reading the transforms of these things and pushing them onto the sprite here. So the sprite movement is being generated by a physics simulation that is invisible. And then I'm applying random impulses to it, etc. This is actually an animatable body, not a static body. I think I said static body, but anyway. So that's how I'm doing that. And then the wander behavior, it's just a steering behavior. So if you're not familiar with steering behaviors, you can look that up. But steering behaviors are basically a way of like applying all these vectors to an object to get it to have some kind of certain certain movement behavior. So it's basically like an algorithmic or procedural way of generating movement. So basically, like, I generate a wander target point, and then there are a series of vectors. One vector represents the velocity, one vector represents the desired velocity, one vector represents, or maybe acceleration is like a constant value. But anyway, like, it's all about like every frame, just like using those different vectors that pull on the thing to pull him towards the wander point, and then when he gets close enough, a new wander point is generated, so he gets pulled to that one. But the acceleration and the velocity are all numbers that can be tweaked, so you can get like more flowy, you know, broad turns and stuff like that, so he looks like he's floating. But the movement itself is just entirely like programmatic. It's just, hey, pick a point somewhere in this region and like move to that point in accordance with your velocity and friction and whatever else. And then the animation, like I said, is the animation player, and then the lantern is an actual physics simulation. That's a lot of repeat work. What is a lot of repeat work? Can't believe my Patreon failed. Oh, that's all right. That's all right. But thank you. Maybe we get the read button to work then. We'll renew as soon as I get paid. Yeah, I appreciate that, Real Crudo. Thank you. You got good news for your leg? Let's hear it. Okay, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break. I will hear what you have to say, Crudo, when I get back, but you have an MRI scan on the 8th of September. Well, that's good to get some diagnostics done. Hopefully they can get to the bottom of what's happening. MRIs are interesting. If you've never been in one, they're it's kind of relaxing, honestly, and terrifying at the same time. But anyway, I'll be right back in just 3 minutes and we'll continue on. Okay, I'm back. Honestly, I just want answers now. 5 months of sheer pain and constant worry. Yeah, I understand that. Well, hopefully you get the answers that you need. So we want to make the, let's see, lore dialogue. So we have a lore dialogue. Is this going to work? Lore dialogue. I believe this will work. Yeah, so I do need to change the lore dialogue here. This panel header lore entry, this goes away. I need to get a reference to the panel header. I need to access that as a unique name. Panel header. Panel header.set text is equal to lore resource.name translation key. Okay. So in the lore content here, on read, we are going to do lore dialog.create instance. Lore dialog.create instance. This.get main. Let's just do let's do var parent is equal to this. I don't really like this. Let's call this configure. Okay. Dialog.configure main.add transient child else add child dialog.play in. All right, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Any day now. Okay, unlock tree. I open up my lore. I read. Ooh, look at that. So this is pretty cool, this little window, because what it does, this little lore dialogue thing. I completely blanked on what I was going to do. This dummy. So if I do this, and I just add a bunch of text here. So this lore dialogue window is pretty cool. I have to build the translations. So this will auto scroll. So if I do this and I read, so this is just gonna, do this. You can of course skip the animation. So I can click skip and just read the whole thing and then click done. The other nice thing though is that if I like the animation and I like the pacing of it and I just want to leave it alone, I click read. So this will just print out the lore entry, and then as it gets to the end, it will auto scroll. So watch, it'll scroll right here. So yeah, it's kind of cool. So this is still a scroll container, but I've just like hidden the scroll bar. And so it's being driven programmatically until you click. If you click or hit escape or whatever, it just skips it so that you can read it freely if you want to. And then you can just click done. You can click read this one. I should probably make it so that if I click in there, it skips it as well. That would probably be good. But yeah, if you hit like escape or whatever, so you could just read it quickly. That might be a little bit annoying in this window, so I may just make the lore dialogue auto skip, or like make it so that I can auto skip it, but we'll keep it like that for now. But this is how when you first start the game, this is the presentation that you're gonna get. So yeah, hopefully that's fine. We'll see. It can always be tweaked if people don't like it in the demo. You know what I'm realizing though is that this may need to be set to always process, because I think if I read this from the game, or if I bring this up from the actual game, let's just get rid of this panel header. Get rid of that. So if I go here, I actually don't think it's going to work. Yeah, because it's not process always. So, I mean, honestly, maybe I don't even need. Maybe I'm being too fancy with it. Maybe I'm being too fancy with it. Maybe I can just add the child directly here, and then it will just work. Maybe that will be the case. Let's see. Oops, wrong thing. Unlocks, unlock tree. Cool. All right, that's good enough for now. Should probably reset the scroll when I change views. Yeah, I can do that. Let me think about that. Drawer list. Do I have a reference to the scroll container? I do. Or I don't. I mean, it's marked as unique name. I just don't have a reference to it. Scroll container. Okay, so update view. Callable.from. Scroll container.scroll vertical is equal to 0. Call deferred. See if that works. Unlocks, unlock tree, or if I scroll down and go here, that is not working. Of course it doesn't work. Of course it doesn't work, because why would doing something as simple as resetting the scroll position, why would that be easy? Why would I think that that would be easy? What is wrong with me? Oh, it couldn't match member scroll container. Well, that would be why. Did I spell it wrong? Oh, I'm in the wrong thing. I was looking at the wrong tree. Okay, it's my fault, my fault. Here we go. Unlocks. So I scroll down. Okay, that seems to be working. Yeah, okay, now the scroll is being reset. Good. Excellent. The header needs to change too. Update. All right. Where is that header even coming from? Oh, it's not even translated. Well, there you go. UI, panel, header, drawer list. Okay, and then when I change the view, I need to set the, I need a reference to the panel header. Okay. All right, let's see if that works. Noobsy has a question, why is there 2 build buttons? One of them is a plugin that I have that I made. This is the translation generator. So this runs the tool that I built to create the translations for the game. The translation template file anyway. So this is my translation generator. It's just a scene. So what essentially is happening under the hood is that I'm invoking the command line to run a headless version of Godot that runs this scene. And then this scene basically just loads up all the game systems and pulls the strings out to generate the translation file here. So it's a plugin. It's just or an add-on that I created for myself. There we go. Okay. Okay. Let's do something fun now. We're going to draw an icon for that. Let's just close all these. Assets UI drawer challenge list icon. All right, let's see what I can do. This is not turning out so well already. Maybe we just won't try to be too fancy with it. Okay, it's kind of annoying how I've set this up. Maybe something like this will work. I'm thinking about doing like a big... Well, I actually don't know. Maybe something like that. Well, we'll figure it out. This is not looking good at all. Mm-hmm. We'll get there. We will get there. I just don't know what to do about... Maybe I just do something like this. Well, it's getting there. Interesting. Well, I think it's... Let me look at my artifacts, because I have a scroll. Yeah, I almost have like... I think maybe this does need to be somewhat like that. Doesn't look right either. Maybe I should replace this all with blue. Man, it doesn't look terrible, I suppose. Well, I don't know how I'm feeling about that one. It actually looks a little bit better. Well, let's just call that good for now. We'll just call it good for now. Do I do a triple outline on this? Actually, this one may need... This one actually may need more of a circle. It's going to look a little bit inconsistent though. Let's do the double outline and then I'll just like manually just like thicken the outline in the spots where I think it needs to be thickened. Well, that's probably fine. Whatever. That's probably fine. We'll roll with it. I don't like this. Okay, anyway, so the drawer list, this lore toggle button, this would be UI lore. The icon texture here would be lore icon. Okay, let's see if it works. Any day now. Any day now. Okay, so we need these to be set as active too. As active based on view. Actually, that should be relatively easy. Maybe I'll just do that right now. So if I go to my drawer list, where is that? Challenge toggle button dot set active false. Lore toggle button dot set active false. So that's going to keep the buttons highlighted depending on what you have selected. Oh, it's not clearing the active state when it collapses, though. Okay. It's still not clearing it. Why is that not being cleared? Do I have a collapse somewhere? No. Update view. I wonder what's going on here because it looks like it's remaining brightened, but I don't think, I mean, that shouldn't happen, obviously. Let's see. So I click that. Set active, current view. Oh, the current view is challenge. Oh. Right. It's not actually setting the view to none. It's keeping it at challenge. Interesting. No, old view equals target view. Oh, yeah, I can't do the active setting based on just the view. Oh, shoot. What am I going to do here? I think this is incorrect. I think it needs to be set to none. Let's just do this. We'll move the collapse check to here. And we'll just simplify this. Okay. Hopefully that works now. I'm gonna have to mess with the controller focus too, because I don't think it's gonna be possible to press these buttons with the controller. So I have to make sure. All right. Anyway. Add icon for lore button. All right, that'll be it for the stream today. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. If you are interested in the game, Alchemortis demo, the Alchemortis demo will be out in the near future, so wishlist it to be notified when it goes live. Otherwise, yeah, I may stream later today, but if not, I'll be back at it tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. So yeah, please check out Alchemortis if you're interested. You can also join the Discord if you just want to come and hang out and chat game dev. All the links for that are in the description below. Thank you again, everybody. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will be back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Okay, bye-bye.